Coming up today on the Waine Train, it could be make or break for our automatic promotion hopes as we take on the two teams just behind us in that race, and the only two teams so far this season who have beaten us in Leeds United and Ipswich Town. Hello everyone and welcome to episode number 8 of the Waine Train here on Sean Does FM with Plymouth Argyle. I hope you're doing well, and coming up today we've actually got 3 big games in the later stages of the championship, and we take on the two teams on camera who have beaten us so far this season. First up, second place Leeds United off the back of taking on Middlesbrough, who are in the promotion playoff hunt. We then take on Ipswich Town, that one also at home, so if you're looking forward to those two games coming up in today's episode, they could be massive games for our automatic promotion hopes. Then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. We've only played 2 games off the back of yesterday's episode, either side of January transfer deadline day, where we did actually do some business due to in the end, career-ending injury to Joe Edwards. If you missed that one, it included games against West Brom and Swansea. I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. As mentioned, off the back of that injury that Joe Edwards did suffer, he has retired, so thankfully we did bring in Ryan Fredericks to be that bench option at both right back and left back, and behind Kesler Hayden as well. As Bali remembered off the back of yesterday's episode, we did take on 2 teams who we really should have been beaten, but to be fair, didn't perform actually that well in either game. First up, we took on Sunderland at the Stadium of Longove to a bit of a poor start in this game. They were well on top of us in the first half, and just shy of half-time, Burstow puts that one past Connor Hazard in goal, of course off the back of Mike Cooper picking up an injury in yesterday's episode, and makes it 1-0. That was a score going into half-time. Thankfully, Morgan Whittaker somehow gets that one past Patterson in goal just after the restart, and off the back of that, not much else happened. In the end, we got more shots off, slightly higher XG, but not that many shots on target, and it is a 1-1 draw. Not a terrible result, especially away from home, but still, ideally, that would have been a game that we did pick up all 3 points from, and off the back of that, we did take on Coventry City. This one back at home against a team now managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and we were well and truly punishing them in this game, but it took until the last couple of minutes. A Ben Waine shot did come off the crossbar, and thankfully it fell quite nicely to Mustafa Bundu off of the bench, and he does grab a goal to make sure that we do pick up 3 points. As you can see there, a penalty at the 72-minute mark, which would have given Coventry a chance there to pinch that result. As you can see, not a single shot on target, and that is because that penalty was just sent wide. So thankfully we did get away with that and grab that late goal to make sure that I think deservedly, based on those stats, we do pick up 3 points. A little bit concerning to only score 1 goal in both of those games, but thankfully we have still scored a goal in every game we've played in the league this season, and it does mean we are still on top of the championship going in to today's episode, 4 points clear of our first opposition in Leeds United and 5 further points back to Ipswich Town. Does still feel like, with 14 games left in the season, the likes of Leicester, Middlesbrough, Southampton, Hull City, and all those other teams just in behind might be a little bit too far behind now to catch us up, but hopefully we can pick up some good results in these 2 big games in today's episode. Hopefully just give ourselves a big push towards gaining automatic promotion up to the Premier League in the second season of the save. Ben Waine still on top of the goal scoring charts, even though he hasn't done too much off the back of yesterday's episode. And also our injury concerns here at Plymouth Argyle. You would have seen before, Mike Cooper was back in goal for that recent game. Also Julio back from injury these days. Just Jordan Helton, who was out with a twisted ankle. He'll be missing for 3 to 7 more days. So that is one injury concern we do have going to this first game of today's episode, albeit our squad going to this one is on a very heavy workload, so it does mean a couple of other changes that we might not usually make as well. Going into this one, the likes of Sebastian Hausner staying alongside Julio Plegozello at the back, and also Matt Butcher will play as the deep-lying playmaker. Lewis Warrington is on that heavy workload. Matt Butcher a bit better off, so he will start in a bit of an unfamiliar role there, but apart from that, we're at full strength. In fact, I lie. Luke Kundal also starting over Finn Azar, so a few changes to our usual first choice 11 for this first game of today's episode, but hopefully we can still pick up a good result against the Leeds United team, who did beat us earlier in the season 3-1 at Ellen Road off the back of our first defeat only a couple of games before that when we did take on Ipswich Town. They come into this one in a very nice run of form as well. They have been winning for a long time now, have made their way through to the 5th round of the FA Cup, where they will take on Blackburn. Maybe that's something that might play into our advantage with no FA Cup football having been knocked out in our first game in that competition against Bradford City. But these guys come into this one in really good form. Hopefully we can find a way to get a little bit of revenge and hopefully at the very least walk away with something from this first game of today's episode, considering they are the team who is closest to us on the table. If they win this one, the momentum will be with them, so hopefully we can pick up at least a draw, as I said, in this game, just to make sure we do keep that 4-point gap over the team currently the favourites to chase us down on that championship ladder. There are those changes as we ran through before, just a couple of changes there because of some players being quite injury prone on those heavy workloads, and also that injury to Jordan Helton, so looking a little bit different in the midfield to what we'd ideally have, with Matt Butcher being out of position, but hopefully we'll give the guys here a bit of pre-match motivation and we can grab something from this first game in today's episode. That one in between these two games as well, not a given Middlesbrough, just behind the likes of Ipswich Town in that playoff zone at the moment, but there we were, and there are Leeds United going with a 4-2-3-1, a lot of very good players in that team and quite a few good youngsters as well. It is quite a nicely balanced team that I'm expecting to make their way up to the Premier League next season, albeit if they do slip down the table a little bit, that might be interesting if they're in the playoffs alongside a team like Leicester City, and hopefully we can make sure that might be an issue for them by picking up a win here in this first game of today's episode, albeit early stages. Leeds United are the team who have got off the first shot, but surprisingly, at least for a little while there, we were on top in terms of possession. We finally get our first shot off in this game, and coming up to the 15-minute mark so far, it's pretty even, albeit now Leeds 3 shots to 1, so I guess they are on the front foot slightly. And just off the back of saying that, they do get on the attack here from a throw. Now Babadi makes his way in behind our defence. There's somehow an Isaac Babadi, a very promising young player for Leeds United, will put that one away. And first highlight of the game off a throw-in, we go 1-0 down, and hopefully that's not a sign of things to come and we can find a way to bounce back from this, but that's not a good first highlight. Anthony does well there to evade a couple of men, and Babadi there does get in behind one of our defenders. It was Sebastian Helsner, one of our new signings during the January transfer window, and he buries that one past Mike Cooper into that bottom right corner, so not a good start. As well as that, Swansea actually doing us a bit of a favour here, taking points off Ipswich Town at the moment with that game locked up at 1-1. Hopefully that does stay that way, but hopefully we can find a way here to grab something back in this one and grab a point, so at least everyone is in the same position they came into the start of this match day with, albeit if Swansea could win that game, that would be nice. Now Ben Waine will take on a shot there with our first attacking highlight, also from a throw-in. It's safe from Melier in goal, but thankfully Luke Kundal is there to bundle that one home, and thankfully we do equalise about 10 minutes shy of half-time. Ben Waine got that ball from the front, some good short passing, gets it back inside the box, takes on the shot from a tight angle, and thankfully Melier just palms that one out straight into the path of Luke Kundal. Despite there being quite a few Leeds defenders there, they can't quite deal with that danger, and we grab an equaliser off the back of that. Actually, looks like we're starting to get on the front foot a little bit more, but we are going to be locked up here at 1-1 going into half-time. To be fair, I think I'll take that with the way that this game has gone. Just one highlight for both teams. Thankfully, they have scored, at least we have, off the back of that early goal to Babadi, and we go into the sheds at 1-1, and also having picked up a little bit of momentum off the back of that goal heading into half-time. Hopefully that can continue in the second half. Callum Wright's on a 6.5. Mustafa Bundu can come on for him off the back of grabbing that winning goal late on in that previous game against Coventry City. But I think that's all we'll do for now. We'll just adjust some opposition instructions, seeing as this is a game that is quite big for our season. Hopefully, at the very least, as I've said a few times, we can hold on to our 4-point advantage over Leeds United, and that's what would happen at the moment if we can hold on to this 1-1 draw. But we were picking up some good momentum late in that first half and early stages of the second. It does look like that is continuing, and an early free kick here in our favour. Julio takes it and gets it back. Now Adam Randall just holds the ball up here down our right hand side. Now Holzner plays it back to Randall. Now Bundu off of the bench hopefully can have a similar impact to that game that we did just play off camera against Coventry City. Plays that one back to Julio at the moment, just taking our time here to get forward, despite the fact we are playing on the highest tempo. But now Julio these days back inside our own half, plays that to Mumba. He cuts inside a bit. We'll find the Waine Train. Nice ball through there for Whitaker. Unfortunately, was looking to link up with Luke Kundal, but couldn't quite find the goal scorer. Now Leeds United here with a chance on the counter-attack, and there's their goal scorer and Babadi. Good foot in there from one of our players. Unfortunately, it finds Anthony. He puts that one wide, but to be fair, he was offside anyway. Off the back of that, we'll just chuck Mumba onto support. In fact, off the back of that, he's gone down to a red heart, as has Morgan Whittaker. So time here for a couple of substitutions. At left back, Ryan Fredericks can come on off the back of a really good impact in his first game for the club in yesterday's episode, and also we'll bring on Pervader in place of Morgan Whittaker, so that does mean we've still got 2 subs left. Shortly off the back of that, Helsner picks up a yellow card, and also Adam Randall down to a red heart. So I think these will be our last 2 subs. Matt Butcher can go into that balling midfield role, and Lewis Warrington can come on as a DLP, and also Dan Scarr on the bench because Lewis Gibson was quite injury prone. So hopefully Dan Scarr can give us a bit of aerial threat from set piece. That's our last sub, and with still half hour left, we do have a throw in here. We find Kundal, the goal scorer, does quite well there to keep that ball, plays one over the top, and Kesler Hayden gets slightly in behind looking for the Waine Train. It comes off the underside of the crossbar, and we take a 2-1 lead here with a half hour left. The Waine Train, his first goal in a little while, which is good to see. That should hopefully make sure he does stay on top of the championship top goal scorer charts. But Kesler Hayden picks up yet another assist. Lots of bodies in the mix there, but somehow Ben Waine wins the jump to that ball, gets a bit of help there from the underside of the crossbar, but thankfully it makes its way over the line, and we take a 2-1 lead here with a half hour left. Off the back of that, we might think about chucking Fredericks back on defend, albeit to be fair, quite good crowd for the Ryan Fredericks as we saw in yesterday's episode, so we might wait a little bit off the back of this highlight to do that. But it is Leeds United here looking for an instant equaliser. Chance there for Struijk from just outside the box, but thankfully puts that one over the bar. It is still 2-1 in our favour. Leeds United getting a similar amount of shots off to us in this game, but thankfully so far only the one on target. Maybe shouldn't have said that because now they have a highlight here and they might get their second one off. Hopefully that is not the case, but definitely a team who have the quality to peg one back. Now Anthony will try and square that one. It takes a deflection rather, unfortunately, does fall to Guruev, who will play that one to Isaac Babadi. Why do I say words? Their second shot on target. It beats Mike Cooper, and Babadi is tearing us apart here at home park, and unfortunately, to be fair, rather fairly, but it does make it 2-2 here, still with 20 minutes left, and now the momentum might be with Leeds after we just grabbed it back there, just shy of half-time. But Babadi there, he was a bit fortunate to get that ball. There was a ball played into the mix there from Anthony, took a rather unlucky deflection, and it did give Leeds United there the chance to equalise, and they did take it. Unfortunately, they're just encouraging the guys, and we cut off a highlight. We'll just adjust some opposition instructions here just to make sure that Leeds hopefully don't get a chance to grab a goal to give them all 3 points. Hopefully, at the very least, as I said a few times, we can pick up 1 point from this game, keep our 4-point advantage on top of the championship table, especially still having to take on some good teams off the back of this in Middlesbrough and Ipswich Town. Off the back of that, things should get a little bit easier, but now inside the last 10 minutes of this game, we are slightly on the front foot based on stats, but Leeds United, a very good team. And now we might just chuck here Ryan Fredericks onto attack, and also Ian Pervader on attack as well, a former Leeds United player, of course. We signed him off them in the January transfer window. Hopefully he can do something here against this former team. Hopefully going a bit more attacking doesn't prove too costly. A free kick there, to be fair. That one was from quite a fair way out, but it does force a save out of Mike Cooper. Off the back of that, we might just drop Fredericks back to support and also do the same for Kesler Hayden. Hopefully that might just mean that this highlight does get stopped. We don't see the corner that does come from that free kick. Also just do another check here on some player instructions. It all looks good, so we'll carry on here into 6 minutes of added time. Leeds United will have a corner, and it looks like it will get shown. It is Gruev who will take this. Player who got the assist for that second Babadi goal, rather fortunately, as I said, off the back of a deflection from a Anthony ball. Thankfully, Julio will clear that one. The Waine Train tries to do the same for some reason, picks out Gruev. Bundu thankfully puts a bit of pressure on them. Gruev, he gets that ball back for Leeds. Julio, good header there though, off of the line almost, and that makes sure there's still 2-2. We'll go a little bit more attacking here late in this game. I've gone very attacking for some reason, lots of button pushing, not quite the right ones, but thankfully it doesn't prove too costly, and it is a 2-2 draw in the first game of today's episode. I think I'll take that off the back of going 1-0 down early, albeit we did get it to 2-1 off the back of a Waine Train goal just past the hour mark, but unfortunately Isaac Babadi, very good for Leeds United, a very promising wonder kid I think he is in the game this year, and he picks up both goals for Leeds United to make sure it is a 2-2 draw. Unfortunately, Ipswich Town did actually pick up a 2-1 win over Swansea, so it does mean they close the gap on both us and Leeds United, and also Middlesbrough. They pick up a win to jump above Southampton into 4th on the table, so our next game before that Ipswich Town one, certainly not a given, but hopefully we can do a decent job there and keep ourselves on top of the championship table. We'll come back shortly, show you guys highlights from that one before we take on Ipswich Town and hopefully put a bit of a gap on those guys outside of an automatic promotion spot. And we are back with the highlights from that game that we did play in between the two. In today's episode, a big one, as well as we travel away to take on 4th place Middlesbrough. Also rotated the team a little bit more than you might expect going to this game with still quite a few players on a heavy workload, but thankfully didn't prove too costly. At the 6-minute mark, we have a free kick. Finn Azaz gets it and finishes that one off nicely, gets it past Glover from a tight angle. We take an early 1-0 lead. We held that for most of the game, and then late on, Ryan Hardy plays that one over to Ryan Fredericks off of the bench, picks up his first goal in a Plymouth Argyle shirt, and thankfully we pick up a 2-0 win. To be fair, probably not the best team in this game, less shots, but thankfully just one more on target. We made them count and pick up a 2-0 win. As you can see, certainly not our best team we put out there for that game, but thankfully they did get the job done, and we pick up 3 important points to make sure we are still on top of the championship table. Also, interestingly, off the back of that previous match day where they did pick up a 1-0 win over Leicester City, which also included a draw for Ipswich Town against Birmingham, which did help us out, but they have played early on this current match day before we take on Ipswich, and they have lost 2-1 away at Huddersfield, which is definitely a surprising result. So it does mean now a chance for us here to extend our gap on top of the championship, and also hopefully build up enough of a gap on Ipswich Town in this one to hopefully make sure that we'll get automatically promoted up to the Premier League. If we win this one, that will be a 12-point gap on those guys, and I think with only 11 games left in the season off the back of this, that might be a little bit of a case of too much for them to do. Hopefully that does prove the case. It would take a pretty poor run of form for us to not get automatically promoted up to the Premier League. If we can pick up a win in the second game of today's episode, but Ipswich Town, another team that did beat us in the first half of the season. We actually played that game on camera. It was a 3-2 defeat from memory. Certainly not as many household names in their team as there were in that previous one, where we did take on Leeds United, but unfortunately still got an injury concern going to the second game of today's episode. Thankfully, Jordan Helton, he is back, but Ian Paveda did pick up an injury. It's a damaged foot. That means he is out for 9 days to 3 weeks, so it does mean our bench just gets jumbled up a little bit for the second game of today's episode, but hopefully we can make the most of that slip up by Leeds United, pick up a win here, and that should put us in a better position than we started off today's episode in. And having rested a couple of key players in that Middlesbrough game away, it does mean our starting lineup is at full strength for this big clash against Ipswich Town. Just one change on the bench. Mustafa Bundu with that injury to Paveda. He's now our right wing cover, and Mikel Miller comes onto the bench to be the left wing cover. So a little bit of a change there, but otherwise we're at full strength and hopefully can make the most of that to pick up 3 points here off the back of that draw against Leeds United. Hopefully we can get the job done here against the team slightly further down on the championship table and make the most of the home park, home ground advantage. But there's our team as we ran through before, back to full strength. Arguably Helsner could start over Plezaguillo, having a bit better attributes, but to be fair, Gibson and Plezaguillo do have that good partnership they have been building out throughout the course of this season there with Ipswich Town. I'm pretty sure it's a very similar team to the one that we did lose to earlier this season. Hopefully we can get some revenge for that, and as I said, build a nice good gap on these guys, which hopefully they won't be able to overcome, and go one step closer to gaining automatic promotion up to the Premier League for the second season of the save. At 5 minutes into this one, we do get the first shot off, which is encouraging because that definitely did not happen in that Leeds United game. But coming up now to 15 minutes, and then so far that's the only thing that's happened in this game. It does just look like, though, that Ipswich are dominating the ball. That's not to be unexpected with our higher tempo, but thankfully so far they're not doing anything with it. We've got the only shot off, and it was on target so far, though. This has been a bit of a snore fest, but coming up to the half-hour mark, they do have a corner. They put that one into the mixer, and somehow Wolfenden's shot, it gets blocked. It falls to Broadhead. He puts that one home. Mike Cooper went for a save, but the shot got blocked, and from there, it was pretty much an open net there for Broadhead, and he puts this one home. I'm not too sure there who tried to clear that for us. It was Mumba, but then Wolfenden with a header. It comes off Whitaker or Connor Wright, and unfortunately, that leaves the net open because of that attempted save from Mike Cooper, and we go 1-0 down here on the half-hour mark. Hopefully yet again we can bounce back from that and at least grab something from this game to make sure we keep that advantage that we did have going into this one. If Ipswich Town do win this, that will make things quite interesting going into our remaining games this season. But Morgan Whittaker finds some space down this right-hand side, plays that back to Hesley Hayden rather rarely, doesn't run with the ball, but Whittaker plays that back to Randall. Now Horton with a long-range effort, but that's a good save there from the Ipswich Town goalkeeper to keep it 1-0 in their favour. Off the back of that though, we do have a corner. Randall will take this one short, picks out Whittaker, plays it back to Randall, puts that into the mixer for Finn Azaz, but yet again the Ipswich Town goalkeeper comes up with a save, albeit that one was straight at him, but unfortunately their goalkeeper doing a decent job here late in the first half. This time we're going to try and put that one near post. Unfortunately can't find anyone, and Broadhead will get a chance to do something here for Ipswich on the counter-attack. The goal scorer, thankfully, bit of a double team there to make sure that counter-attack does not continue, but might be going to the sheds here. 1-0 down, albeit a late highlight here just as injury time is about to start. Kesler Hayden picks out the Waine Train, or doesn't. It finds Kesler Hayden again. Jordan Houghton with a first-time finish. It's a worm burner, but a great one. It finally beats their goalkeeper, just sneaking inside of that far post, and thankfully we should go into the sheds now locked up at 1-1. Off the back of that finish from Jordan Houghton, a little bit of good short passing there on the edge of the box off the back of that throw, and thankfully really good finish there, a good first-time finish just inside that far post, and we do go into the sheds locked up at 1-1. And be fair, based on stats, I do think that's deserved, even though the XG is a bit higher, because their chance was certainly a lot better, but thankfully Jordan Houghton puts that one away. We're going to take off here Finn Azaz for Luke Kundal, because he's only going fairly so far in this game, so we'll make that change. Luke Kundal should be better attribute-wise, as I've said quite a few times so far in the save. We'll just make that one change going into the second half, and I'll tell you guys, I'm actually a bit disappointed with how we're playing, because we're not creating too many chances that we are seeing in the match engine. To be fair, that could be a bit harsh, because stats-wise we're certainly looking like we're on the front foot with 9 shots and 7 on target, but unfortunately at the moment it doesn't mean too much. And now coming up to the hour mark, might be time for us here to just check in on some player fitness. But first, there is a highlight that does start. Ben Waine, he finds Callum Wright on a 6.5, and thankfully we let that highlight play out, because Ben Waine, he'll get an assist, and Callum Wright will curve that one nicely into the bottom right corner. He can stay on off the back of that, because I was thinking about substituting him for Mustafa Bundu, but Ben Waine plays that back to Callum Wright just outside the box, and that is a top finish. Just curves that one around Hardkey and goal, and that makes it 2-1. So it's going quite similarly to that prior Leeds United game. Hopefully this time we can hold on and pick up all 3 points, which would be massive for our automatic promotion chances in the championship. A few minutes off the back of that, and it is now Jordan Houghton coming back from injury, who is down to a red heart. Brilliant first goal to get us back level going into half-time, but Lewis Warrington can come on for him. I think that's all we need to do for now. We're just checking quickly on some opposition instructions before we carry on for the last 20 minutes of this game, but thankfully that does make it 2-1, and hopefully that might just extend that gap on Ipswich Town down in third spot. And shortly off the back of that prior sub, now both our wingers down to a red heart, so Mustafa Bundu can come on at right wing, of course, and it will be Mikel Miller this time to come on the left-hand side. We'll save up that last sub just if we need an extra defender potentially to come on for someone who is tired. We praise our guys off the back of that. Unfortunately, does cancel out a highlight that might have been in our favour. And late on here, here's the Hayden down to a red heart. Our last sub, Ryan Fredericks, one of the goal scorers from that previous win over Middlesbrough. So far has done a decent job since we signed him midway through yesterday's episode. He can come on at right back, hopefully finish off the job here against Ipswich Town. Now making our way to the last 5 minutes of this game, and now we just start to time waste a little bit. Also be more disciplined off the back of doing that. There is a highlight, not too sure though how serious of one it is, but the Ipswich Town goalkeeper here will pump that one deep. They do win that one in the air, but thankfully Mumba is there to tidy things up, plays that one forward to Warrington. Now Ryan Fredericks, fresh off the bench, he is at the right hand side, so is on an attacking duty. You can tell there, puts that one into the mixer. It doesn't quite find someone. Ben Waine gets that, takes on a rather audacious shot, does get blocked there from an Ipswich Town defender, and it goes out for a throw-in. So thankfully does allow us to keep the pressure on, but thankfully looks like we're on the front foot in this game, and hopefully that continues from this highlighted corner in our favour with only 2.5 minutes left. Gibson takes his time over this one, as we've told him to. Now Luke Kundal plays that one to Mumba just on the edge of the box, takes on a shot rather fortunately, does fall to Mikel Miller. Long range effort, and yet again it just sneaks inside of that far post, and that will seal all 3 points here at home park. So thankfully, what could have been a tricky episode today is going to prove quite fruitful. 7 points from 3 games, and that is a big win as well over Ipswich Town, who could have really made things interesting with a win here. But Mikel Miller will seal all 3 points. That one gets some help from the inside of the post, but thankfully still finds its way into the back of net. Quite fortunate, because that attempted shot before that did take a big deflection and fell to Miller very kindly, but thankfully good finish from him on that left-hand side, or at least that time actually on the right-hand side. Not too sure why our wingers were on opposite sides, but we don't mind. It's a late goal to make sure we pick up all 3 points, and that felt pretty deserved. 18 shots and 11 on target. That's quite efficient for us, despite the fact we are playing on that high tempo, but thankfully we come back from conceding a goal at the half-hour mark. That one just before half-time to Jordan Helton. I think a big difference maker, and off the back of that, we grabbed a couple more there in that second half through both Callum Wright and through Mikel Miller. So both our left wingers, they grab goals to make sure we pick up all 3 points, and that does extend our gap now to 12 points clear of Ipswich Town, the team closest to one of those automatic promotion spots. So some really good results for us there in today's episode. We hold our own against Leeds United, pick up a draw there, then we pick up a win over Middlesbrough, and off the back of that, Leeds United lose on this match day before we beat Ipswich Town 3-1 at home park. So it does mean now we're in the box seat to hopefully win the championship, as well as at the very least gain automatic promotion up to the Premier League for next season. Ben Waine grabbed 1 goal in today's episode, and that was enough for him to stay on top of the goal scoring charts here in the championship, albeit Smith from Sheffield Wednesday hot on his heels, but Ben Waine, the highest average rating, Morgan Whittaker not too far behind him there, and also Kesler Hayden and Finn Azaz are dominating the assist charts as well. But that will do it for today's episode. It was a big one, and thankfully we picked up 7 points from those 3 games. If you enjoyed it, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. I think when we come back for the next episode, it's probably now going to be dependent on how we're looking in our hunt for automatic promotion. Ideally, we'll wrap up the season by the end of this week, so we can come back next week and get stuck into hopefully our first season in the Premier League. And to be fair, the rest of our games these days don't look too difficult. Obviously some tricky away games there where we could drop points, but for the most part, we don't take on some decent teams really until Leicester City in mid-April, by which stage we might already be on our way to the Premier League for next season. So I think we'll just see when we do get close to that automatic promotion potentially, and we might come back in and around late March against Norwich, because of course just before then we should get our first youth intake in this save, and also early April for a couple of games there just to make sure it breaks up the last part of the season. Just enough for you guys, but I think it's pretty safe to say now that we should be going up to the Premier League, so we'll cover that off in our next couple of episodes and hopefully finish off the job and not bottle it, because there is definitely a chance that we could do that with a team predicted to finish so far down on the table. But thankfully at the moment things are still going well. But we'll come back tomorrow for something around about the end of March and early April, and hopefully might find a way to get up to the Premier League nice and early from the Championship. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.